knows.
Let's go. Sorry, I should not have said let's go. My dog is just like, woohoo.
Ken, are you able to turn your iPad sideways
Sideways?
so that we're all on the same landscape mode?
I could, but I've got it propped up so that
Okay, never mind.
we can do this. I have bricks. There's always bricks.
Bryce has just arrived.
I got a chance to dropping off a bunch of girls for me. So I'm going to go away for about 15 minutes and I will be back. Frightening as that is.
I don't think you're going to be able to keep yourself muted, Brianna.
So I want to say hi and welcome to Two Rivers Gallery Facebook page. My name is Brianna Sadler. I am the MakerLab coordinator here at Two Rivers Gallery, which is located on the unceded territory of the Lheidli T'enneh. I really want to thank everyone for joining us today, especially on a Saturday at 11 a.m. as well as on a long weekend. So thank you to all people here who have come in and joined us. So this week is actually Museum Week. Museum Week is a week that's dedicated to all the various different things that happen within museums. And today is primarily focused on technology. So we are going live with MakerLab and talking about being a maker, as well as creating a scavenger creating a scavenger app because it is Technology Week for Museum Week, or sorry, Technology Day for Museum Week. So if you are unfamiliar with MakerLab 2RG at Two Rivers Gallery, it is a multidisciplinary, intergenerational drop-in program that happens every Thursday from 5 to 9. Since we have closed our doors, we have been producing some online content with MakerLab online videos every Thursday at 5 p.m. We offer STEAM education, so that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math focused activities. And we've also been producing some other great, amazing online content, such as our Sunday Open Studio, as well as our art exploration. And I highly recommend going to our Facebook page and checking them out. So since it's a communal experience, MakerLab, we've actually been really missing everyone. And we've been trying to figure out a way to create a communal experience online. So that's one of the reasons why we are doing this live today. I want to introduce you to the various people that are here. We have Belinda Larish, who is a MakerLab mentor, a chemical engineer, and is pretty much our go-to for all things tech and 3D printing at MakerLab. We have Karlie Bajjali. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Perfect. She is the curator and program specialist of the Tinkering Space at Science World in Vancouver. And she also is an artist, printmaker, and bookbinder. We have Troy Lindstrom, who is a wonderful digital artist here in Prince George and has been a regular MakerLab member since its inception, pretty much. So welcome, Troy. Next to Troy, I have Jacqueline Baxter. She is the Tech Up coordinator at the Exploration Place in Prince George, here in Prince George, and she is a tinkerer in her own right in her spare time. Next to Jacqueline, we have Natalie Burkas. Sorry. She is a potter and artist, and she is an amazing member of our MakerLab family with a child who is in our MakerLab Youth Immersion program. Below her, we have Margaret Tati. She is a MakerLab mentor who is a member of the Faber Arts Guild here in Prince George, and she has never found a fiber craft she doesn't like. She's pretty much my go-to for all things fiber. And we will eventually be joined by Ken Turner. So right now we have Ken Turner's iPad. He is a MakerLab mentor and woodturner who is head of the Woodturners Guild here in Prince George and a mentor for our MakerLab Youth Immersion program at Two Rivers Gallery. So hi and welcome. So first thing I would like to do is give a quick recap of what we've been working on this past week, Jacqueline, Belinda, and I, with regards to making a scavenger hunt on an app called, to create an old app on a thing called Thunkable. Thunkable is a free program that allows you to create your apps, allowing you to design whatever you would like to do. We've decided that we'd like to do a scavenger hunt for Prince George. What we're creating, if Jacqueline wouldn't mind screen sharing her page for a moment.
I sure will. Let me get it up here. Here is the beta test right now, I guess we're going on. This is kind of what we're going to be working on. I'm going to be showing you a little bit from scratch though. So essentially this is going to be an app that you can download, if I'm correct, Brianna, from the App Store.
Yeah.
And you can then go out and do a scavenger hunt around Prince George. Minimal contact, which is awesome during the COVID-19 crisis. So just a quick little look into what this will look like. I'll do a live test. It's going to look a little weird because it's not perfect on the computer. And it's just going to have an intro screen here telling you to join us for the scavenger hunt. When you click start, we're going to move over to your first place you're going to be going. It's going to be a little bit more conspicuous than this. This is kind of just our test. And we're going to be getting some input from the audience to see which 5 locations we want to scavenge. So essentially when you click on the hints, you get different hints of where this landmark might be. Once you find them, you go next, and you're gonna get a whatever landmark that was, a really fun fact about what it is. You continue on, and we haven't quite got that far yet, but it would be to the next piece of the scavenger hunt.
Perfect, thank you. So as Jacqueline said, that's our beta test, and we are asking for people's input today on how we're going to create it. And so some of the input that we would love to see from you is areas that we can actually make people go to, as well as possible locations for how, or possible ways that you would actually get there, any clues that you would like to give. So as that, I'm actually going to put out our first poll for people to do. And we are going to do 5 questions, and I'll have 3 different polls throughout this whole entire hour with regards to places that we'll be doing our scavenger hunt. And please select one of your favorites so that we can actually have the 5 places that we go. So that's a quick intro with the scavenger hunt Thunkable app that we will be creating, and we'll be checking in with Jacqueline throughout the whole hour, kind of like what's going on and how she's making it and all those kinds of things. So the first question that I have for everyone today is that a lot of people have been stating that it is been difficult to be creative during this time period. Does anybody have any tips, any suggestions, any ways that people can be creative at this time. And I will pass it off to, let's start with Karlie first.
Sure thing. I've definitely found the biggest issue I've had with being a creator and a maker is not having access to the same things that I maybe had access to before. So for example, before this, I was starting to do some laser cutting, which was really awesome, but I no longer have access to that space. So I've had to look at what I have in my house and kind of reimagine it. So kind of reimagining what you have around you is a great way to continue making and being creative. So I've been at work at Science World, I do a lot of like making stuff out of, we do a lot of activity, we make stuff out of recycled materials. And I find I'm doing that a lot at home now too. So looking at sort of what recycled things I have in my house that I can reuse to make stuff. I can't always like go out and buy like the paper that I want or the paints that I need and the color that I want. So it's really looking at what I have and trying to solve problems with what I have and sort of rethinking what I've got around me, which is really fun.
Perfect. Natalie, would you like to touch base on that?
Sorry. Oh,
I have found it really difficult actually to be creative, not because of lack of materials or anything like that. It's just I am not in that headspace at all. What I've started to try to kind of do is almost like coaching myself to putting my hands on things and trying things differently. I have a friend in Ontario who she primarily upcycles silverware and stuff into jewelry and sculptures and things. And she says periodically she just drops all that and does something else entirely. And she calls it crop rotation, which I think is a great phrase. So what I've actually been doing is I've been writing instead of making pottery. I've actually been writing. And I've also been teaching myself how to do beading, which is something I've never done before. And I'm really excited about it. But it's hard. It's really hard for me to get into that space. I find that late at night is when I want to be doing my creating. So my sleep schedules are really, really messed up right now.
Thank you. Anybody else like to put in some feedback on this?
yeah, I guess
Sure.
I would throw something in. Oh, is Mark? Okay, I'll go first. I was finding, especially early on, but actually maybe it's just snowballed and continued. I found my brain using this opportunity to put
Video.
all the things that I had previously put on the back burner, which were hanging around the house, on the front burner, because I didn't have the distraction of, oh, I could be doing something else, possibly, that was previously higher on my list. I don't have the opportunity to go there, for instance, to the MakerLab and work on the Photon Torpedo, the solar electric vehicle. We're not doing that right now. But, all the things that I had at home, a lot of fixing jobs, old remote control vehicles that might have been out of commission for a very long time, anything like that. All the stuff that's been put to the side, it's off on the desk. I have sort of a maker desk, and it's piled high, and it has been for a while, and now I can slowly go at all of those things. Margaret?
And what I was going to say is just start where you are. So anything that you might think of as just a way of busting any creative rut, whether it's looking online and finding out if a creator that you know of has released one of their paid patterns for free, whether it's pulling out an old coloring book and crayons that have been sitting on a shelf for years and just color instead of something that you can't quite wrap your head around. Find a place where you can start, because once you open those floodgates, you might surprise yourself. And give yourself permission to be okay with starting really, really small.
Troy or Jacqueline?
Sure. What I've been doing as a person who lives on disability, this isn't much different for me. I'm home most of the time. I have all my equipment, but I have found that I've been taking online courses on stuff that is close to what I do, but different. I've been doing the master class with Neil Gaiman, so that's all on writing, but I've been learning how he uses his inspiration to create, and I've been trying to integrate that into mine.
Sorry, I was working on the app over there, but the question is, how am I staying creative during this wonderful, wonderful COVID-19 crisis? Yes?
Yeah, that is.
All right. Currently, a lot of creativity with work, which is awesome. So a lot of my time has been mixed up in that, but trying to shift everything, working in a hands-on science center and museum to what you do online and not face-to-face, but via Zoom or with online content has really been a way to get my creativity juices flowing. That's for sure. And plus designing this app. This has been fun.
Yeah, it has been fun, actually. It's been a lot of fun to try to design that and be creative in a technical type way. Personally, for myself, as Jacqueline mentioned, work, I've been doing the MakerLab online videos, which have really challenged my own personal creativity because I don't have the stuff ready at hand. Like Karlie said, I don't. I usually have amazing, massive space and MakerLab to work with. And right now, I'm working from home. So there's been some really interesting pieces that I've put together as working on home. Yeah, so great. I love everybody's feedback, and I think we're all definitely trying to be creative in our own ways. I heard writing and coloring and various different ways that may not be what we're known for, but it's definitely a way to try to get that creative juices going. So follow up to that, have people found that being creative or trying to be creative been helpful during this time? And anybody who wants to jump in, please feel free to.
For me, creation is actually essential to my mental health. I'm not the same person when I'm not making something. If my hands aren't busy, I'm a completely different person.
I can relate to what Margaret just said as well. I was really starting to feel at a loss and very much starting to feel unraveled without some sort of creativity. I'm almost always making or doing something myself. And so having weeks and weeks of nothing like that really started to wear on my mental health as well. So also the discipline of sitting down and making myself do even the smallest things carries through my day, right? Because then you have the discipline to do other things as well. Not having a set schedule right now is really not good for me, and it's not good for my kid. So making a point of setting a schedule and setting aside creative time and setting aside time to reconnect and things like that is actually really, really important right now.
Anyone else have feedback on that? On how it's keeping you functioning or helpful within this time period?
For me, I find just if I don't stay creative and keep working on things, I find I just fall back into gaming and stuff like that, and sometimes that can be a bit mindless, and then you're just sitting there with the, like you're just doing stuff. You're not really creating, and so I'm careful to make sure I'm working on other things and not just like watching TV or playing games.
We've had some interesting comments on Facebook here. Christina Watts, who I think most of us here in Prince George know her. She definitely says challenges equal creativity for her. Problem and solutions. I've been loving connecting with others virtually and sharing supplies. So I think that's a wonderful way to like have that creativity. I know a lot of people are doing drop-offs at people's homes as little like, here's some creativity for you, and now it's your challenge. I think that's great. Roxanne has mentioned that cooking things from the cookbooks collecting dust on her shelves. Which I've heard from some of my other colleagues as well. They've been like going through their own cookbooks and creating pieces that they haven't actually cooked on before. For me personally, I made dark chocolate almond butter Reese's Pieces type things. So that was a first for me. But that's definitely, it's been a definitely way that I've actually stayed creative as well. So here's a question for you guys. Actually, at this time, I think what I'll do is I'll throw it back to Jacqueline and see what's been developing with the app, and if she would like to comment any more on that. I will let you know that our poll has been doing pretty well. Two Rivers Gallery and the cup banks have been the two most popular ones out of the first one.
Awesome.
So I'm going to show the results and then I'll post the second one.
Okay. Let's see how far I've gotten so far. So this is starting from scratch. I've got my first screen here. It's pretty blank at the moment. We'll make it more vibrant towards the end. But it just has the intro here, which is what we call a label. So with Thunkable, all up top here is what I have on my app, and all down below where it says add components, this is all the different stuff that you can actually add on. So this top where it says join us for a scavenger hunt around Prince George, that is just this label here. And all you do if you want that is you just drag and drop it in and I'd get another label. I don't want that right now, so I'm going to delete it. And then down below, we've got the start button. So really for this first page here, that's all I have to do for design. And then you do something over in the block section, which is all the coding. So if I go to the blocks, you can see it's pretty simple for this one here. It just says when start click, do navigate to screen 2. So all that means is when I hit this start button, I want to go to screen 2. And screen 2 I started to design, it's just at the top, it just says, where are we going? So do we have a first place we want to go that I could add to the top here? Brianna, do we have a?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know that question was towards
Sorry.
me. Yeah, so Two Rivers Gallery was the top one.
All right, so I'll continue to make this for Two Rivers Gallery, and we're gonna need hints to get people there. So if we can get people to start giving us some hints or clues of how to get to Two Rivers Gallery around Prince George, that would be awesome.
All right, so I'm going to type that in our Facebook thing here so that people can give us answers back. All right. So thank you so much for the update, Jacqueline. The next question I have for everyone, and if they're willing to do this, I would love to see what people have been creating. So anybody want to start and show what they've been creating? Oh, and I see that we have Ken back. Hi, Ken. Oh, let's get him off. There you go. Hi, Ken. How's it going?
Good. And since I'm yapping, I will switch cameras around and show you what I've been doing.
Oh, awesome.
So this piece is City Hall elm, from where they took the trees down 2 years ago. And that will go to, should the black and white ball ever reappear, that's a donation for their silent auction. Diagonally, it's about 20 inches, so it's a fairly big chunk. This one's, there's a program of called Beads of Courage that kids that are going through long-term medical treatment collect a bead for every medical procedure they have, whether it's an injection or an MRI or surgery. And then woodturners and weavers and stuff make containers for them to keep their beads in. So this one's, that's going to Calgary sometime. And then one of our fans at the gallery bought a house recently. So there's a salad bowl gift for her. eventually. And then I should run outside and show you what just arrived, because somebody might be excited about having one of these, and I'd be more than happy to get rid of it. Friend up in Grand Isle has been going out to the bush and getting girls. So did bring back some spruce burl. That's the remains of that, or not spruce burl, that's birch. But if anybody needs a coffee table, I have some largish lumps of wood that I would dearly like to get rid of. So that's what's weighing down my truck. And the other major project that I'm working on is my pizza oven, which blew up. I have I used the wrong mortar. I used a castable mortar, which I didn't realize was castable and water soluble. So I'm rebuilding the arch on the pizza oven. And we made new garden beds. So COVID be damned, we're still just living.
That's awesome, Ken. Can you just show us quickly your studio space there so that we can see?
Studio space. That's such an exaggeration for my shop. It's MakerLab. I built this cabinet this spring, so I'd have a place for my grinders, and this would be a wonderful thing to do for makerspace, because each of the drawers many of the drawers, I should say, have dedicated space for dedicated tools. It makes it much easier to put things away. My lathes are buried under stuff because I'm into pizza oven building mode. So under that's a Vicmark lathe. Behind there's my Nova table saw, bandsaw, drill press, general pile of bowls that are ready to return. So yeah, that's kind of it. Everybody dizzy? I hate watching videos where somebody's swinging the camera around like some kind of Blair Witch project.
That's awesome. So we have had some really great feedback from people on Facebook with regards to Jacqueline's question about clues on how to get to Two Rivers Gallery. So Alicia Hughes says, home to the man with the tree on his mind.
That's an awesome one.
That's a good one. Louise Vanderlands says close to the library. She actually gave us 3 different ones. Near the Civic Center, near Clock on Arch. Yeah. So those are some clues. So everyone just keep them coming and I'll plug them into Jacqueline when I get them. Also, people have been really loving your tour there, Ken. We got I got from Carolyn, it makes great pizzas.
Sometimes.
So anybody else like to share with us what they've been creating?
Anna, could you actually just type out the hints to me so I can write them into the app? I don't quite remember that well. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right.
That I'd be happy to show off my space. It's going to be way less impressive than Ken's, but I'd be happy to show it off. So this is like my art studio normally, but it's kind of also become my tinkering space, being away from Science World. It's quite small, but it does the trick. Let's see, I have a laptop, so it might be harder for me to show more of it off, but let me see what I can do here. I have, for my drawers over here, I have a little letter press here that I haven't been able to use, unfortunately, since I haven't been able to make any plates for it. I've got my paints out. I left it kind of messy because I figured everyone would kind of get it. I've been doing a little bit of painting in my personal time, so I've got a painting started there. So that's kind of like the personal stuff. I've been working a lot of painting. For stuff at Science World, we've been trying to do some activities online with teachers so they can do those with their students. So I have some remnants of a Lego catapult that I built for a catapult activity that we did online with students. It once at a time had a spoon in the middle that you can use to launch some catapults. We've also been we did marble machines where we built marble runs on the walls. So I did take all of that down, but it was pretty cool. I actually did that downstairs, but had filled a wall in my living room with cardboard tubes and boxes to make a marble run. One thing that I've had a lot of fun with, I can't demonstrate it at the moment because I'm kind of taking it apart to perfect it at the moment, and we'll see where it goes, whether it's something I do personally or something I bring to Science World. But I took apart an old fan to make we have an activity at Science World that's very popular called spin art, where we have these little computer fans in boxes and you can draw spirals. But I took apart like an old house fan that I had, and I have glued it's kind of angled a little bit, so you can't quite fit a piece of paper flat on top of it. So I've raised it with a can of cat food, a cat food can. And then I have a little piece of cardboard that I stick on there, and I've been making some different kinds of spiral art. I've been using pastels, which has been really cool, but I'm thinking about trying some paint or maybe some markers to see what different kinds of designs I can make. And that's been really fun. It doesn't quite, I usually do it on the floor because it is a very short extension cord, so I can't demonstrate it because I can't reach through the outlet, but it's been pretty fun to play around with that. So those are the kinds of things I've been doing for Science World, but then in just my personal making, a lot of painting, doing a little bit of sun prints as well, if anyone's ever done those, sort of using plants and stuff that I find. I would go for an hour-long walk every single day, and I collect some plants to make some little prints. And I've had these sun prints laying around, like someone was mentioning, going back to old projects that you've started a while ago and finally having the time to do them. So the sun print paper I bought like maybe a year ago, and I haven't used it, but it was a great opportunity to use it, especially with my everyday hour-long walks through the neighborhood. I was seeing a lot of like plants and stuff that got me really inspired to keep working on that. And that's my space.
That is so cool. I love those sun prints. Those are awesome. I might borrow that idea for an upcoming MakerLab video.
Yeah, they're super fun and super easy. I've been meaning to do them at Science World for a while, but it's really dependent on the weather, so it's hard to do as a scheduled activity, especially with all the rain. So
that's awesome. So who would like to share before I get somebody to share their place next, Jacqueline would love to know if somebody can give us a fun fact about Two Rivers Gallery. And so I'll put that out to everybody here on Facebook watching us, as well as anyone who would like to participate in that fun fact on the panel here today. Yeah, so there we go. Anybody would like to participate in that one, as well as the people watching us? No one has a fun fact?
I'm guessing, Brianna, that you might have the funnest facts about the gallery.
I do know some. I think one of my favorite ones that we have is, if you're familiar with Two Rivers Gallery, we have a massive set of stairs that goes up to the second floor. And those stairs are actually reminiscent of the trees in the forest falling down. And so if you look at it from the outside, it kind of mimics a forest of the trees going up the stairs. And Carolyn has said ribs echoing the cut banks, which is another cool fun fact.
I can think of one thing that I think is a fun fact, but it doesn't get used. So it's, and that's the way the blackout tables move.
That's actually a really cool fact. So
it's a very cool fact, and it actually, there's some lessons learned from that, I guess, because as I understand it originally, well, there's the atrium light, like the lighting in the MakerLab space and the whole open area upstairs. was originally supposed to go all the way down into the art exhibition spaces until they thought about gallery concerns about light, actual natural light constantly hitting the artwork came up, and it's like, oh no, no, we can't actually have that full time. So that's why the blackout tables don't actually move that often, except for cleaning.
Yeah.
But
Well, they have been used.
I think that's a really cool fact.
Yeah,
They have
no,
been
it
used
definitely
in a
is.
couple of exhibits.
Yeah.
And it is cool. This time of year, there's an interesting thing. You actually do get direct light in, but away from the summer solstice by 3 weeks on either side, you don't get any direct sunlight, and everything has gone through multiple layers of glass, so there's not much UV. It's irregular light, which is probably the biggest problem, because the clouds come. We thought, but it when it works, it's absolutely gorgeous light in the gallery.
I presume there's some pictures somewhere.
I'm
Probably.
trying to think what shows it was open for. Way back, Peter von Tiesenhausen, the same guy that did the Man with the Thinking Hat, Tree with the Thinking, whatever.
The tree.
His show, we had had it open, and I think there was a couple of others, but not for several years, like maybe 7 or 8, 9.
There's definitely some really interesting good facts about Two Rivers Gallery. And if I get some more from people or anything like that, I will pass it on to you, Jacqueline. At this time, if anybody else would like to share what they've been creative with and how they're being creative, we'd love to see it.
Sure, I can show some stuff. I'm all digital, so showing my computer is my workspace. It's just a computer. Right now, I am working on some videos for Accessibility Week. We're going to do some online videos. This is a talk I did a few months back, but I re-recorded it, and then we're going to post it on Facebook. And then we're also going to do some how-to videos. So I'm working on those right now. Just mainly digital line art, sharing that one. And this is the portrait I did of Kathleen. And this is what we're going to be, what did it show?
Yep, it's showing very well, Troy.
Yeah, so I'm going to do pretty basic tutorials on how to do blind art in a digital space. And right now, that's pretty much what I'm working on. Once I get that done, I want to get back into my sculpting.
So Alicia has said, those look amazing, Troy. Are they all done digitally?
Yeah, I do. Like I can draw with the traditional stuff. I just it's easier for me to do everything digitally. So I draw on a display tablet, so it's a monitor I can actually draw on with a stylus. And then I use a software called Clip Studio. So it's a drawing program. Photoshop, I don't use that because it's a heavyweight program. It takes a lot of resources. So I just use a basic drawing program because it runs better on my computer.
And you have so 3 videos that are coming up on our Facebook page, I think in about a week. Is that correct?
We're supposed to be doing them for the first week of June, which is Accessibility Week in Canada. So I'll be doing 3 15-minute tutorials, plus we are going to show my sharing talk. So it'll be 4 videos total.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to we're planning a talk about disability in the arts. And I think we're going to do some stuff with Kickstart the Arts in Vancouver during that week too. But Megan knows more about all that stuff than I do.
And I also know that you are hopefully going to be in an exhibition coming up soon too at Two Rivers Gallery.
Well, let's hope we can get it because it was supposed to be this month,
Yes.
but you can't have it. So we're delaying it till December. So we'll have some accessibility events in December and then the show.
Perfect.
And it'll be all like line art like I just showed Kathleen. And it's to show people who have made an impact on my life as a person with a disability. So that'll be in December.
Perfect. Yeah, we will definitely be putting out more onto our social media when it comes up closer to the various things. And but just wanted to touch base on that. And Carolyn says that's a beautiful drawing, Joy.
Thank you.
So anybody else like to present something that they've been working on?
Sure. So I've been doing a few interesting things over the course of our confinement. Among other things, I've been really thinking about what happens when you have loss of your sight, because a friend of mine has been having issues with his MS. And so I have been weaving without using my eyesight a lot of this band. Not because I have to, but because if I get some practice, then I can help him learn to weave without using his sight. And so I've been doing a lot of weaving with my eyes closed. I've also started weaving with a bunch of friends and doing some backstrap weaving. And while it's a technique that is not all that difficult, I'm doing it with no pattern, as though I was a 5-year-old in the Andes, just because I can, and taking my time and enjoying the process. So we get online via Zoom and we have a meeting a couple of times a week, and we just hang out and have fun and enjoy learning together. So it breaks up all the creative ruts and we have some fun.
Those look beautiful. Alicia said on Facebook here that that is creative thinking at its finest. So trying to figure out how to weave when you're unable to see. So those are both beautiful pieces. Does Natalie, do you have anything to share with us today?
I mean, I can show you my initial attempts at beadwork. It's nothing spectacular, but here's an example of an earring that I made, and I'll put a little hook on it so that it'll, you know, hang off of an earring hook. I apologize, my camera is not good on my laptop, but they're long, like that's going to be quite a significant piece. And then I also tried a different color combination. These ones end in clear beads. They start with silver and go through a couple shades of blue and end with clear. So those are fun too. But this here is a typical piece of pottery for me. This one is a cone 10 piece. And for those of you guys who don't know, this is considered a high fire clay. It's very hard when it's finished. It's very durable. And I did this one here in Prince George in the gas kiln at the Potter's Guild. I consider, I don't know, Brianna, if you're going to get to this, but the difference between like a maker and something else, you were asking for some definitions on what we thought of those things. Do you want me to wait until we get to those questions, or?
No, please share your version. I'm sure people will be very interested in hearing.
Okay. For me, things like beadwork, and this is just me, this is more like tinkering or crafting, because you're taking components that are already in existence and just putting them together in a new way. Whereas this, to me, is artisan work or maker work, because you're taking a raw material and making it into something else. Even the glazes that are used on this piece, it's a single glaze, but you can see it's got a lot of character to it. This was mixed in the studio from raw component pieces. So for me, I do both. I do maker stuff and tinkering stuff. So, but that's essentially, that's all I've been doing for creativity other than writing, but my writing is not to the state where I want to share it yet. So I won't be reading any passages.
But thank you for sharing what you have been making. I think they're both beautiful pieces, so I do appreciate that. I might have a conversation with you about the beating though. So at this time, I'd like to talk to Jacqueline a little bit more and to find out how we're doing with the app. If people have been noticing, I've actually put on a second kind of poll for people to select places that they would like us to go within our scavenger hunt. And people have been voting on it. Clayton Memorial Park has been coming out on top there. And then the other one has been, well, Forest of the World and Central BC Railway and Forestry Museum have kind of tied. Cut Banks and Exploration Place of the last poll have also tied.
Awesome. I vote
Yes.
for Exploration Place if that makes any difference. So I'll give you a screen share into where we are at. Right now, I'll do a live test so you can see it from the beginning. I'm basically just waiting for the next bit of information from the audience there to see where we want to go with this. This is just going to take a second to load. And again, it looks a little bit different on my computer screen than it's going to look on a phone. On the phone, it's a little, it fits everything much better. And it's not quite loading the image there, but that's okay. So when you hit start, you've got your 5 hints here. It just says, let's go to our first place. Home to the man with the tree on his mind. Close to the library. Near the Civic Center. Where art comes alive. And the creative center of the city. So once you go through all those hints, you can go find the place, which hopefully will lead you to Two Rivers Art Gallery. And you go next, and you'll get a, did you know, the ribs in Two Rivers Art Gallery mirror the cut banks. So we can add some more fun facts there if we'd like. And then when you hit next, you're going to be going to your next place. So this is where I'm at for place number 2. I just need to figure out where we're actually going and what hints we want to put in, and I can input all that information.
I think Jacqueline, we should watch you type something in.
Oh yeah, sure.
So
all right, give me some
choose,
information and I will type.
Either take the cue from the last fun fact there with the cut banks. We could go to the cut banks next, or
Sure,
we could go to Exploration Place next.
Oh, I'm gonna vote X Place. So if we can get a fun fact about Exploration Place from somewhere, I can let you know how we work with this and how we add that on.
All right, I'll ask everyone on Facebook if they have any fun facts.
Do you mean fun facts or do you mean hints?
Oh, hints, sorry. Hints first. Oh. You're right.
Hints first. Okay, so I will ask the hints.
Perfect. So what we have on this screen right now, all these blue things are called buttons. So that means that when I click it, it'll do something. And basically I program each one when you hit hint 1 to bring up the text. So initially all of these things that say label, 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 label will have text with the hints in them, and I will make them non-visible at the beginning of the app. And once you hit 1, it'll show what that is. So it's just not visible at the time of when you bring up the screen, and then once you hit it, it actually shows up. Do we have any suggestions for a fun fact?
Not for hints, not yet.
Okay.
I mean, I
could hints.
Say, located in the unceded territory of the Clayton.
Okay.
That would be all of Prince George.
But it's also in the park too. Here's a good one. Carolyn says near the tiny train.
Okay. So with our label here, I've selected it. This is going to be hint number 1. And the text right here, I just highlight and I can type near the tiny train. And then when I click off, you can see it's now on my screen. I can change stuff like font size, the color if I want to get really fancy, background color, font style, etc., how it's aligned. So I'm going to put that in the center to make it a little easier to read. And then where it says visible here, I'm just going to turn that to false. And now it's disappeared. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to head on over to the block section of this. And I'm going to make it, when I hit hint 1, this button here, that label's going to pop up. And I labeled that to label 2. Okay. So in the blocks, I go down to that button, which is, oh, I should probably name it first so I know what I'm looking for. It's called 2 hint 1. And I grab my 2 hint 1, and it says when this button is clicked, do blank. So when this button is clicked, I am going to make to label 1 visible, which I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Grab from to label 1, set visible to true. And that just means that when I hit this button, it's going to pop up that text there. So now if I go back and do my live test, it's going to bring us through the entirety of this again. So I'll go quick. And we can just go next. Get our fun fact. Now you can see when I hit hint 1, it should show up, but it's not. So I probably did something wrong. But I'll work on that and then I'll head back to you guys.
It was not visible still. It was still in like, visibility was set to false no matter what, right? So do you have to just—
It should be true. I'll work on it and get back to you guys.
Sounds good. I'm just letting everyone know we just have 10 more minutes left in our Facebook live stream. There have been a few more hints for you to try, Jacqueline. So where science, history, and fun go together, as well as where the ice cream is.
Barbie dinosaurs.
Where the dinosaurs are. Yes, that's a good one, where the dinosaurs roam. There's also been some amazing comments here. Alicia has said that she loves those, all the things that you made, Natalie, were beautiful. And Carolyn has complimented everyone on what a talented group we are. And I will second that. So in these last 10 minutes, I just want to check in with anybody. If anybody has anything to add, I will put the last question out there of your own personal definition of what a maker or STEAM educator is. I will start with mine. My own personal definition is definitely anybody who looks at all different materials, all different ways of creating and creativity, and uses all of them in order to put things together. I look at what MakerLab is, and I see a knitter beside someone who is doing engineering. So, and how those two people can collaborate in order to create some really cool things. I know Belinda has collaborated with Margaret on many occasions and has created some great 3D printed weaving designs and things like that for doing weaving. And so I look at that and I say, that's definitely what a maker is kind of going in and using a bunch of different types of ways to make in order to make. All right, so I'll put it out to everybody. If anybody wants to put their own definition of maker in, or any last comments that they might have.
I can chime in. For me, it's like being a maker or a tinkerer. You're part of it is you're really focused on the whole process and not just the final product. And also like what you learn through doing the process, and not just like the end goal is not necessarily what's important to you. I know when I'm tinkering or making, I enjoy doing it whether or not it works out or not. And I think that's a really important part of it, is focusing on the process and what you're doing with the process, how you're innovating with the process, rather than just what you have at the end. So, yeah.
And while that is all completely wonderful and valid, I will just throw in the engineering perspective that another way of approaching maker projects or any project, and that is obviously one that applies to me, is that I am only actively interested in doing something if it is going to be useful in the end. And so for me, the end goal is what I sometimes obsessively drive towards in order to, and fix whatever problems arise along the way, and reimagine things, prototype, redesign, redo, and iterate again in order to come up with something that is actually going to be useful in the end. I didn't do any show and tell, but if I did, it would be the photon torpedo, which we can't do because, of course, we're not in the gallery space, so we can't show off the electric vehicle. Another thing I will just add to the mix is that for me personally, it is, and that's just me, but it is important to be as sustainable as possible when we're making things. So we're using, ideally we use scavenged equipment or materials of some kind. And I will hold up my shoebox computer that I built out of a Raspberry Pi, which, yes, I did buy the Raspberry Pi, but the I don't know if I can do this in midair. The computer itself, it's sort of like a quasi laptop here. I've got my little screen up there. I have to take out, obviously to use it, I have to take out the mouse and the power cord. I have to plug it in. Doesn't have a battery, but it's got a keyboard down here, and the whole thing does fold up into a shoebox. And I've scavenged all kinds of other bits and pieces for support in here. So although the technology I did not scavenge, although it could be scavenged to do another project. So there we go. Anyway, so I just wanted to add those factors of end use and practicality and sustainability.
Thank you, Belinda. I also really strongly believe in sustainability, and actually what Karlie had mentioned at the beginning with regards to looking around to find recyclable materials. That's definitely something that I tend to do a lot in my own practice, as well as things that I've been creating for MakerLab videos. And I mean, I'm always going to plug what the Trash and Show, which is coming up in September, which I love, and I always will promote that. All right. Anybody else out there have any last thoughts? What a maker is to them, STEAM educator, anything like that?
A lot of us are problem solvers. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
A lot of us are problem solvers. We actually, a lot of us fell into this because we saw something that needed fixing. And so we scrambled, we scrabbled and found bits and pieces from somewhere. And we wandered through our lives with pockets full of random bits we picked up from somewhere. Odd bits of string, rocks, whatever else that we cobbled together into stuff. And from there we get on to creating. And now I'll let whoever else carry on.
Yeah, my definition is pretty loose. It's just anybody who strives to create something different. You know, for me, from the same with art, it's anything from like drawing to cooking. Just as long as you're trying to create something new and be creative about it, then for me, you're a maker.
I think it's a lot more about enjoying the process than trying to make a product. I don't turn bowls because I can't get a better, more functional bowl at Walmart for 1/10 the price. I think part of being a maker is that sense of refusing to give up on something, spending 2 hours to fix something that you could replace for 50 cents. Because damn it, it should work and it shouldn't be thrown out. And if I could just get another $10 worth of stuff, I could fix it. It's not practical.
No, but that definitely sums up, I think, a lot of our personalities. So it is 2 minutes before 11, and we will be, or sorry, before 12, before noon, and so we will be saying goodbye at that time. So I just want to check in quickly with Jacqueline before we go, and then unless Natalie, you would like to add in any more to your definition? No. Okay. All right, Jacqueline.
Thought it'd be cool to show what it actually looks like on the phone. So does this work if I hold it up like this? So you can see how it actually goes through everything and how it fits the screen a little bit better. This is the phone. This is the app that you'll be able to download. You get all the hints up. You can go over to the next, the Did You Know page. Next again. And this will be our exploration place page, which has all the hints currently on it as well. So we're going to find out 3 more places in Prince George. We're going to do 5, and then we'll code it up for you and put it somewhere on some site that you can download.
We will actually probably put it onto Google Play and Apple. Oh, I just forgot what that's called. The Apple Store. The App Store. Thank you.
Awesome.
So we will be putting onto both of those. They'll be free to download for people to use, and then be able to actually do their own scavenger hunt within Prince George. We'll also make everybody aware of the code that we use. So if they do want to change it or alter it for their own city, then they can, which will be great. So I do want to thank everyone for joining us today. Again, taking an hour out of your schedule on a Saturday and joining us in this unusual way of doing MakerLab. For me personally, a lot of what I love about our MakerLab and our makerspace is the communal connections and talk that I can have when I'm there. I think a lot of it is about communication. And so I really appreciate you guys coming together with me today and having talks with me about what you're creating, how you're being creative, what a maker is. And we will have this video saved on our Facebook page. So if anybody wants to come back and check it out and see how they were. And I want to thank everyone who has watched us today, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now. Okay.